Now, I want you to hear me correctly. You do not have to broadcast every mistake, but you do have to make them in order to grow. If you are not taking steps forward, if you are not willing to be seen trying of getting up, trying, failing, getting back up again, if you're not willing to go through that process, then you might as well hang up the dreams at the door. If you're not willing to go through the growth process, you might as well keep those dreams and they will stay just that. They will not become a reality for you. Hello and welcome to When Are You Free? I am your host, Aaliyah Joyce, and I am so happy that you've decided to join me on this corner of the internet today. Today, you guys, I want to talk about Shark Tank. This is my new current obsession. Now, I realize Shark Tank has been on TV for a really long time, but I am just now getting into it. I used to see it all the time when I was a kid, and I thought this is such a boring adult show, and I just wanted to watch cartoons. But now that I'm an adult, and more specifically an adult who is in the business world, it's actually so interesting for me to watch it and to see different people's pitches and seeing what some people end up deciding is this is a $5 million idea, and it's like a plastic bag that they've somehow repurposed. And it's so interesting to me. I feel like I honestly have not been watching a ton of television. I feel like so much of our television nowadays is really just not that good. I don't know if you guys have watched the Euphoria season 3. I'm almost in a silent protest. I haven't rewatched it yet because I'm just so irritated by the whole thing, by how it took us 10 plus years. That's not true. It's an exaggeration, but it felt like it took us 10 plus years for us to get a Euphoria season 3. And now that it's out, apparently it's not that good. This is what I've heard. It's not what I'm saying. It's what I've heard is that it's not that good. And I don't know, you guys. I'm not in the mood to pick it up. Also, as a society, with everything kind of going to crap right now, I really feel like Euphoria season 3 is the last thing that we need on our list of things. You let me know, but that's just the vibe that I'm catching, is that that's the last thing on the list that society needs right now. And so I've just not been keen to pick it up. It's so interesting that I chose to watch Shark Tank this week of all weeks, though, just because people come on. Some of them have really fantastic ideas that are well thought out. Their valuation's great. They're worth a lot of money. And then you have some people that come on with ideas that's just a hope and a prayer, to be honest. And it's like, all the people haven't really bought this. You're not making a lot of money doing it. And honestly, the idea doesn't even really seem that good from my perspective. But they have all of the confidence. They put together the presentation. They've taken the time to make the prototypes and all of that, and they present it in front of these really big investors, and they do it and it's good enough for them, and I love that. But it goes hand in hand with today's episode, which is perfectionism is holding you back. Perfectionism is something that I have struggled with for as long as I can remember. And if you're a person that takes your work or yourself super seriously, it's something that is almost automatic for you to fall into. And normally when you're that type of person, you're just someone who is very passionate about this, that, and the third, whether that is your own internal self-work, the people that you're with, or the jobs that you do every day, your hobbies. It's just, you're a person that comes with a lot of passion. And so what ends up happening is I'm very passionate about my job, very passionate about myself, all of these things. You become so passionate about it. It's I care about every single little detail, and I'm not ready to put anything out until it's right, until it feels good to me. I remember at my previous job, they had asked me to create some type of reporting module. And I remember them pressing me and being like, well, where is this? Where is this? Where is this? And I'm like, I'm working on it. but I just hate giving things to people when they're not ready until I've dotted every I and crossed every T and everything is just so in my mind. I'm not ready to give it to you. I'm not ready to submit. I'm not ready to post it because it has to be a certain way. It's just a little itch inside of me. And I feel like a sense of existential dread. It almost feels like it's not finished if it's not perfect. And while they did forgive me at work because I turned in a fantastic work product, I think the whole ethos of perfectionism is really harmful to myself and to everybody in the long run. And I can see some benefits of it. To have that passion and the type of care that you want in your work or whatever it is that you're working towards is so important. But if things are constantly getting held up, if you're not actually doing anything, if no work product is ever getting turned out, then really what's the point? A lot of people like myself, like if you listen to podcasts or anything like that, you're trying to look to better yourself, to better your life. And so you have dreams and you have goals and ambitions and all of these things that you want to accomplish. And the problem with being that way and simultaneously being a perfectionist is that you're a person probably that's always planting seeds in the future where you have this really great idea, this goal, this plan. Can't wait to get the dream body or the dream job. Like you're always thinking ahead, but you're always doing those things, planning them like in the future. You're really good with coming up with, and I'm one to talk, but you're really good with coming up with like the to-do list, the Excel spreadsheet, like all of the different ways that you're going to get there. But what you're waiting on is I'm waiting until I move to this place. I'm waiting until I am in a relationship. I'm waiting until this life stage, until I have all of the right equipment and all the stars align. And then I'm going to accomplish it. And then I'm finally going to be this person. I have been this way in the past where I'm waiting for like this Goldilocks moment where, and we all know the story of Goldilocks where she's like, oh, like this one's too soft and then this one's too hard and this one's just right. And the thing about it is that I just think that sometimes we can be so delusional and think that the stars are going to perfectly align and then it's going to be the right time when we have the right amount of money and we live in this city and we have this partner or all of these other things going on, then all of a sudden it's going to be better. It's going to be the ideal environment for me to start doing this and then start following my dream. And the truth of it is that that is not real. That place actually does not exist. There's never, and I think that anybody that I've ever spoken to who has started a business, who is living their life in their dream career, has a fantastic relationship, has all of these things that a lot of us vie for and want so badly. What's so interesting is that the time was never right, quote unquote, and the environment was less than ideal when they got those things. It's never this magical pot. And so it's so interesting that that Goldilocks period where all the stars align and you have everything that you need is actually a fallacy and a place that we've created in our mind that creates a barrier from us and everything that we want on the other side. The second problem with the perfectionism is that somehow it's never quite good enough. You always feel like, if I could just go through one more round of edits, then I'll be ready to make this post. If I create 2 or 3 more drafts and then have a couple more people look at it and review it, then I'm going to be ready to publish the book. If I make 2 more adjustments, then I'll be ready to actually present my business plan to people. Then I'll be ready to give people the proposal. And again, I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing your due diligence and making sure that things look good and that the presentation is done well and all of those things that you need to have a good product in the end. But you're always going to feel like it's never good enough. I say you put it through a couple of times, but at a certain point, you have to just say like, oh, like this is just it. It's going out into the world. And because it's never the right time and because it's never good enough, what you have forfeited is the opportunity cost of starting sooner. And the bad thing about this is that you cannot regain ground. Time is one of those things that we, no matter who you are, whether you are the poorest or you're the richest of the rich, time is something that none of us can get back. You cannot recoup that cost of starting on the project earlier, of writing the screenplay, of writing the song. You choosing to wait for the right time and for that edit to be just perfect is all of the time that you could have spent actually doing the thing, actually posting it out into the world, actually putting it out there, putting out your song and learning from that experience. And not only are you missing out on that experience of learning, someone else might actually take your idea and run with it. I feel like this has happened to me before, and I think this is a very common experience where sometimes you will be out in the world and you will see a product, you will see a book or a movie or something like that, and you're like, like I have thought of doing something like this before. And then you're like, oh, it's so interesting that so and so just ended up doing that. And it's like, so, and maybe that's not you. Maybe sometimes like that's your crazy uncle who like swears that like he came up with the plot of like Rush Hour or something like that. And it's just like, but people have that experience. And it's not uncommon where you have probably thought of something before and then you see it reoccur in the world and you're like, oh, I was reading this book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she describes this exact experience. So she is an author and she had this idea for a very niche topic, and it was a book that she was planning on writing about construction in the Amazon rainforest of all things. Again, not something that you read about all the time, not a common trope that you see in books. So she starts writing the book and then life happens and then she just never picks it back up. Years and years pass and the idea is just kind of like hanging in the wind, right? Years and years pass. She makes friends with this other author and they're talking one day and her friend goes, oh, I have an idea for a great new book that I've been working on. And she goes, oh, what's it about? And she's like, oh, construction in the Amazon rainforest. And her friend was like, and Elizabeth's like, what? Like, I started writing a book that was just like that. And it's so interesting. She talks about just again, just like sometimes the universe will give you an idea and you have to take it and do something with it, or somebody else will take that idea. I was also watching recently the Michael Jackson movie, and it talks about this same phenomenon. There's the scene of Michael Jackson in the pool, and his brothers are like, what are you doing over there? And he said, I have to be ready for the idea or God will give it to Prince. And I love that line. And it's so funny. And I really believe that he said that. And it's also a really true sentiment is that you don't realize how many ideas that because you're not ready and willing to act upon them because you're waiting for the right time, you're waiting for the right environment, for things to be just so in your edit and your process to put it out into the world, someone else might hop on that, move on it first, and then your opportunity is gone. So don't minimize the opportunity cost of your inaction and being stuck in that mode of, oh, everything has to be just perfect for you to move. How are we going to shift that mindset? And I believe when I talk about certain things like this on my podcast, so oftentimes we are ruled by fear. We won't take the steps that we know that we need to take to resolve the issues in our lives. And so often it is because we're afraid of a lot of things, but a lot of the time at the root of these issues is that there's some secret fear of why we won't do what we know needs to be done. A lot of the time we're so afraid of being seen trying. This was an interesting conversation that came up when Timothy Chalamet had won some actor award. And he talked about how he wanted to be the greatest of the great. And I believe that that caused a lot of discourse on the internet. And it brought up the conversation because I think that a lot of the time in this generation, we can be so much about the nonchalance and not caring. And I love the idea of bringing back caring, of not being afraid to try. So many people are afraid of being cringe and facing embarrassment, of putting your artwork out there, trying to pitch your idea to people, start your business, start a career in an unconventional pathway, and you're so afraid of the embarrassment of not being an instant success, of it not taking off, of people not getting it. But there's so much power in not being afraid of just showing up and saying, hey, I am trying. I am trying to be an influencer. I'm trying to be an actor, an actress, CEO, a CFO, a software engineer. It's okay to be seen putting effort into those things and doing your best. It's okay for people to see you in the process of doing that. It's not embarrassing to go after your dreams and wants and desires. If anything, I feel like it's so embarrassing to choose what is comfortable and what is familiar to you because you're so afraid of what other people think that you live a life that's not meant for you. I think that for me is what has propelled me forward and taken away the shame aspect and that fear that is always in the back of my mind of, oh, what will people think? I'm more afraid of what I will think of myself at 60, at 70, at 80 years old when I've, lost a lot of movement in my body and I have less time left on this earth, when there is less opportunity left for me to do the things that I want to do. And so right now I want to go for them full force. And I don't really care if people think that it's dumb or a waste of time, because I'm thinking of myself. I'm thinking of my younger me and I want to make her proud, but I'm also thinking of my older self and I want her to look back and say, we went after every single thing that we wanted and then some. And we got what we wanted and then some. I promise you, and I hear this from older people, it's going to be so much more of a heartbreak to you if you let the opinions of other people rule your life. Something that I've seen a lot recently being brought into the conversation of building businesses and starting careers and all of these things and putting those things out publicly online. People will say oh, should you be building in public? Yes or no? And I would say yes and no for me personally. I would say no, you should not build in public, as in you don't have to show everyone your mistakes. I think that in the age of I want to be authentic and I want to be genuine, people feel the need to broadcast their sloppiness, their mistakes, their imperfections all of the time. And some people make a whole brand of being authentic and showing you how many times they mess up. And that's completely their prerogative. I sometimes don't think it's wise. And I've been like this for years, to speak from a place that you have not worked through. And that's what I always try to do on the podcast. I am speaking from things from my own experience, but I like to speak a little bit more seasoned. Perfectionism itself, I'm actively working through, but I do have some experience in constantly fighting against that mindset. Is something that I've recognized in myself and that I have been actively working against for years. And so when I give you advice or when I show you something, it's I'm speaking from a place of experience, and my active struggles that I talk about with my friends at the time, I'm not going to put that out there on a podcast until I've taken some time to work through it. And so I would say, no, don't show people every single little mess up and broadcast every little thing that you're going through, because that's not always the healthiest for you to process those things on a public platform for however many followers you have, for 100 people, for 1,000 people, for thousands, millions of people, to see your own personal internal struggles, whether that is internal or you're having problems as you're working through your business or starting your career. You don't have to show everybody that. And I don't think it's helpful. I believe sometimes it's helpful to do that in a trusted circle. And that's who you should show those vulnerabilities to when you're actively working through them. Now, I want you to hear me correctly. You do not have to broadcast every mistake, but you do have to make them in order to grow. If you are not taking steps forward, if you are not willing to be seen trying, of getting up, trying, failing, getting back up again, if you're not willing to go through that process, then you might as well hang up the dreams at the door, because anything that is worth getting in life, you're not going to get instantaneously, whether that is the dream relationship, the house, dream career. None of those things that I've heard from all of my mentors and different people in life, nobody gets these things overnight. So if you're not willing to go through the growth process, you might as well keep those dreams and they will stay just that. They will not become a reality for you because you're not willing to be hurt a little bit for them. You're not willing to go through the process of what it takes to get them. And a lot of the time, those things take hard work, they take dedication, they take you showing up and putting hours of time worth into it, and it doesn't even amount to anything tangible that you see immediately. But you have to believe in the power of consistency, the power of showing up and not giving up. Over time, you will see those things become a reality for you, and you will see growth within yourself. Another mindset shift that helps so much is doing it for yourself and not for them. I was listening to another podcast. This was with Emma Grady and Mel Robbins. And the biggest thing that I took from that podcast was excellence over perfection. And how Emma Grady explained it is that you should strive to be excellent. You don't have to strive to be perfect. And excellence, I just love how she described it. Excellence is for you, but perfectionism is for everyone else. Because when you think about perfectionism, what does that really mean? And even when going back to the first thing that I said in the podcast, I was like, oh, like these reports and everything, like I'm going to present this to my boss and the COO and all of these people, like, and everybody in the board is going to see this. I thought about it and I was like, oh, like I want everything to be just perfect for them. And the funny thing is that when we're trying so hard to make things perfect so that way we can elicit a certain reaction from people, we want them to be pleased with it, we want them to be awed by it, we want them to applaud us for it. That's what we're hoping. By doing all the tweaks and waiting for the right time and all of that stuff, we're hoping it's going to elicit a certain reaction out of people. And what you have to come to realize is that you cannot control how other people receive what you do. You can work for 5-10 years on a book and put it out in the world and it flops. You can spend 10 minutes writing a song, go through the whole process of producing it, and somehow it's number one on the top 100. The bottom line is that you cannot control how others are going to perceive your work and to perceive you and what you do. But what you can do is hold yourself to a certain standard and find satisfaction with that. And that's where the excellence portion comes in. You know when you've been working hard. You know what your limits are, how many hours you can go on in without breaks, the level of detail that you can put into what you do, how much you've pressed and persevered and sacrificed for something. And so you have your own standard of what working hard is for you. And it's not the same for everyone. And that's the fantastic thing about finding excellence within yourself and holding yourself to that standard, is because like, oh, I did the best that I could with what I have, and I can be so proud of that product, be so proud of what I put out there. Here's the first thing that is going to help you to put these things into action in your everyday life. If you're a person like me who's very creative, has so many ideas all the time, has all of these things that I want to make, this is how we're going to take all of those things that are on the vision board, that are in the ether, and we can't seem to make real products. This is how we're going to make those things and those dreams a reality. The first thing is that we're going to set real deadlines for ourselves. Now, this is where my businesswoman side comes out in full force. I'm a person that is very meticulous about how I plan my life. I have weekly goals. I have monthly goals. Gosh darn, I tell people this and they laugh at me, but I have quarterly goals. Like I can't. I have to try my very best, and I'm not perfect about it, but I try my very best to stay on a track. And I am really committed to getting that overall, that yearly list, that plan. I really want to see it through, even if it does change and maneuver along the way. I want to stay on a track on the vision of where I'm going. And so it's so important that you break those things down. Something that a friend had even recommended to me, which has been so helpful. And again, it's not about the perfection, it's about the consistency of me trying. And she told me that you need to start putting real dates on stuff. If you are someone who wants to learn how to play the guitar, that is a very, very lofty goal, right? And what does that even mean to you? Like, do you want to be somebody who can just like pick up and like play like any song? Do you have like, oh, I just want to be able to play like a few songs, but a few of my favorite songs? Like, there's a lot of things that that can mean. So it's like, you know what? Okay, I want to learn how to play guitar. So you know what? By August the 10th, I am going to buy the guitar. And after I buy the guitar, let's say, by the end of the month, so August 29th, I'm going to sign up. You don't even have to go. I'm going to sign up for my first lesson. Just break it down into very small, simple steps to get you to where you want to go, and put real dates on it, because that's going to help keep you accountable. And even added layer, tell other people the dates that you have promised to yourself and promised to them that you're going to get it done. Sometimes you might not do it. Sometimes life happens and you might not get it done. But I found that the percentage of me putting dates versus not, when I put a date on something, I'm more likely to do it. The second is really simple, but we forget about it when we are people that are perfectionists, is to enjoy what you do. Whatever it is that you're trying to go after, whether that's something like just bettering yourself, like trying to become a more healthy person, or if you're going to go full gong ho and say, I'm going to start a business, try your darn hardest to enjoy it. When you get so caught up in the details of it all and the magnitude of the things that you have to get done in order to accomplish this, sometimes it can really bear down on you and start to become more of a task. And then I think at that point, well, of course, you're not going to see it through because you hate it. And it's now become something that's really cumbersome and taxing to your mind. And so always try to keep it light. You can care about it, and you should care about it, but don't make it something that is so strict and rigorous that now all of a sudden all of the joy is sucked out of the thing. It's like, well, now what's the point? And it's become one of those things in your life that is just like, ugh, now I have to. No, like I still want to have fun. I still want to enjoy the things that I do, my hobbies, my side projects, my passions. Like I want to enjoy those things. And so please remember to try to have fun with it. Okay. God forbid, make things fun again. Okay. The third thing that I would say is you need to begin and see it through. Don't sit on things and ideas too long, because as we mentioned, someone might steal them, but also sometimes they just begin to sour, where you have thought of a concept for a really long time, and if you keep stewing on it and stewing on it and saying, oh, what if I do this and do that? Sometimes the whole idea just like, oh, I don't even really want to do it anymore. It's like when you have a really good idea of like, oh, I want to eat this for dinner, and you spend like an hour to an hour and a half making it. And when you finally sit down to eat it, you're like, man, I ain't even hungry no more. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm not even hungry because you waited too long. You waited too long. You were primed. You were ready. But because, you took too long to cook and make it, it was like, well, now I don't even really want to eat it now. It's the same thing with ideas. Like you need to just go ahead. You need to go ahead and begin and ride the momentum of it. So that way you actually want to do it. You want to commit to the idea. So try your hardest to not get stuck. Like when you're in the process of doing it, just see it the whole thing through from beginning to end. And the momentum of just being like, it's not perfect. It's not exactly how I want to do it. But it's like, oh, but now we're to the finish line. Like we didn't take an hour to make it. We didn't take whatever to make it. It's just kind of like, no, even though it wasn't perfect the entire time, it's like, no, I just saw it through. And the biggest thing that I just hope that you guys take from this is that you can be your little perfectionist self. You can still care about the details of putting in the hard work, of putting in the hours and the time and agonizing over what it is that you're passionate about. That's part of the process. That's part of the beauty. It is good. And we should do those things for the things that we really love. I think that's what makes us love it, is like we will pour hours into it and a bunch of our time into it because it's worth it to us. But I hate to think about all of the books, the movies, the songs, the dances, the businesses, the concepts that the world never got the chance to see, that were brilliant and that were excellent, because we were so burdened by fear, because the time wasn't right, because it wasn't quite good enough. It is. It is. Just post it, just publish it, present it to people. Who knows what might happen? Again, you don't have to sacrifice your diligence. You don't have to sacrifice your hard work. But at a certain point, you have to say, this is to my standards. This is to my level of excellence. I'm ready to put this out into the world. And so I hope that this has given you some sense of courage today in whatever it is that you're pursuing. But I think that is all that I have for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please leave us a rating on Spotify, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. And it truly means the world to me when you guys comment or say that these things have helped you. That is all that I have for now, but I will see you next time on When Are You Free? Bye.